Okay, so on the back side of that paper, at the top of the paper, you're going to write combined like exactly what you see up there. All right. Now, like terms have the same blank and they have the same length. That's what we're going to write next. Okay, so like terms have the same what and the same what. They're going to have the same variables. So that first blank is going to be variables. And when I say variables, I mean the letters like A, B, C, or X, Y, Z. So they got to have the same variables. They got to have the same letters, or they're not going to be like terms. But what else do they have the same? They have the same variables and exponents. Right. So up here in that second blank, we're going to write exponents. The exact same way we did it yesterday. Like terms are going to have the same variables, and they've got to have the same exponents. So what do I mean by exponents? I'm talking about those powers that we learned yesterday. X squared, X cubed, stuff like that. So it's going to look like this, maybe look something like this. Notice that this variable x is squared. It has an exponent of 2. This y is cubed, so it has an exponent of 3. And then that z over there, that z has an exponent of 1. You just can't see it. So I'm going to put a 1 up here. They got to have the same variables, and they got to have the same exponents. So go ahead and write that down. And then in a minute, we're going to try some practice problems together. Okay, go ahead and write down number 1. Just write down number 1, what I've got up there. 6x plus 3 plus 4x plus 2. And once you've gotten that written down, we're going to underline like terms. I want you to underline all the terms that end with an X. Do that first. We're going to underline all the terms that end with an X. Because they're going to have the same variable, right? So you should be underlining this with this. So 6x and 4x are like terms. They have the same variable. They have the same exponents too, right? They they got the same exponents because the exponent is technically 1. You just can't see it. Now, you don't have to write this, but I'm going to write it. Notice how they have the same exponent and they have the same variable. So these are like terms. We can put those together. So what's 6x plus 4x going to give me? 10x. Yep. So what I'm doing is I'm adding up the big numbers out in front, the 6 and the 4. Now I want you to underline the other pair of like terms. Go ahead and underline the other pair of like terms. There's only 2 left, right? So it should be pretty simple. It's 3 and 2. So these are like terms because they're both just regular numbers. And we can add those together. 3 plus 2, that's going to give you 5, right? And then we're done. 10x plus 5. Go ahead and get that thing.
You don't gotta put the 10 over the 5.
No. This has an x. This does not have an x, right? So we can't add those together the same way we would just 3 and 2.
Yeah, we just talk, leaving the numbers right there.
Okay, so you're probably talking about equations. We're going to get to that next week. But for now, just follow what I'm doing up here. All right, seems simple. Let's try number 2. So number 2, go ahead and try this one the same way you did the last one. You're going to underline all the terms that end with an N. That's going to be your variable. And you can add those terms together. Then you're going to underline all the regular numbers, the numbers that don't end with a variable. And you're going to add those together. So notice how these are like terms. They both have an N. They both have the same variable, right? They also have the same exponent, if you think about it. Now, if you want to add these up, think of this N as having a number out in front. And if you guessed it, it's probably going to be a 1 out in front. So if there's no number out in front, you're going to assume there to be a 1. So now let's 1N plus 6N. That's going to give you 7N, right? Okay, now I'm going to switch to red and I'm going to underline the regular numbers. That's going to be the 4 and the 7. 4 plus 7. That's going to give me 11. And I'm done. So we're combining like terms only. Notice that this 11 is not attached to an int, right? So we can't put those together. We just leave it like that. Okay, let's try 3. The first thing you're going to do with number 3 is you're going to underline all the terms that end with a variable. In this case, the variable is y. So you're going to underline the like terms. That's going to be 8y and 7y. So 8y plus 7y, that's going to be 15y. So now I'm going to underline the regular numbers. So I underline the 1 and the -3. And that is a -3. What's 1 plus -3? You can also think about it as 1 minus 3. -2. Yep. And we're done. Okay, let's do 2 more and then we'll try the classwork. All right, copy down number 4. And then you're going to underline the first 2 like terms that you see. Now, I always like to start off with the highest exponent first. The highest exponent is going to be this 2 right here. So I would start there. You're going to underline all the terms that end with an x squared. Once you put those together, you're going to underline all the terms that end with an x. You'll put those together. And then the last thing you're going to do is bring down the regular number that you see at the end. So take a minute to see if you can get that. Okay, so I underline my like terms first. I know that both of those are going to end with the next square. I can put those together. I've got 4 and 3. What's 4 plus 3? 7, right? So I got my 7, and then I'm going to finish it with an x squared. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to underline our x terms and put those together. I'll do that in red. So those are my x terms. I'm going to put those together now because they're like terms. They have the same variables. They have the same x terms, right? Now I've got negative numbers. I've got -8, -6. If I put two negative numbers together, I got to get a negative answer from that. -8 minus 6, -14, right? So minus 14x. And then the last term that I have doesn't combine with anything. See that lonely 2 over there? It doesn't have another number to get with. So you just need to bring it down to your final answer, and then you're done.
If you put -14 first, would that be wrong?
No, it would not be. So I bring down the 2. So this is going to be your answer. And if you brought down the -14x first, you would get this. Same answer. It's just written in a different order. But if you wrote either one of those down, you'd be fine. Okay, try 5. This time the variable is in Z. I like using X, Y, and Z. The first thing you're going to do is write it down, and you're going to underline the 2 like terms that you see first. They got to have the same exponent. Notice how both of these are cubed. So I'm going to underline this and this. Okay, so this does not have a number out in front. So I'm going to assume that there's a 1 out in front. Like that. So 1 minus 4, what would that be? -3, right? So I got my -3, I've got my Z, and I've got my exponent of 3. Now we move on to the other pair of like terms. I'll do these in yellow. So now put those together and see what you get. Seven minus 7, that's 0, right? So these are going to cancel out. And I'm done. Now you can write 0Z, but there's no point in writing 0. That 0 is going to multiply by Z to give me 0. Anything times 0 is 0. Okay? So there's no point in having this one term. So I'm going to get rid of it.